Welcome to the Simply Imperfect Podcast. If you're on the hunt for perfection, you may want to keep looking because we are imperfection at its finest around here. However, if you're looking to have conversations covering the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between about life, you've come to the right place. We not only embrace life's imperfections around here, we celebrate them. So for those of you who've decided to join us on this journey, go grab yourself a beverage, sit down, settle in, and let's get started. Welcome back. So I'm recording this on Sunday the 10th, and normally by now I have usually a podcast recorded and scheduled to post. But this week has been hard, and it's a week that I had a really hard time coming up with a topic that felt fitting. I usually record later in the week, and as everybody knows, on Tuesday was the storming of the Capitol. And nothing after that seemed really fitting. And I'm not one who loves to get political on any kind of social media or public platform, and I would consider a podcast a public platform, but I know that there's so much more than just politics in the feeling of people post Tuesday's events. I was at work on Tuesday and had a very busy day where I didn't connect on social media much at all on my lunch or on breaks. It was a day where, other than to have something to listen to, my phone I wasn't on my phone very much. And so when I got off work and I was hit with the wave of information about what had been going on, I sat in my car for a little bit in disbelief of, even this possibility going on. I want to start off, and to be completely honest, I'm recording this a little blind, so I'm not totally sure the direction this episode will take, but I feel like it's something that needs to be said, and to just go on as if something didn't happen would be doing a complete disservice for any of my listeners. The emotions that you have pre or post the events on Tuesday, you are completely allowed to feel. You're completely in your right and allowed to feel divided. You're completely allowed to feel as if your vote didn't matter, didn't count. I know there are a lot of people who wonder and then I'm not saying fraud necessarily, but I am saying that there are a lot of people out there who are wondering, with our electoral system the way it is, does your vote really matter? And the climate that we've been in for the last year and possibly several years before that has created a culture where everyone feels pretty isolated and divided into these sections of the population that is us versus them. It seems that as we are divided into sections and pitted against each other, there is no ability for us all to win and be happy. There seems to be this atmosphere that if one quote unquote section is prospering and happy in some way, that means no other section can be. And that is unfortunate, because that is not the America that I know and love. It's not the America I grew up in. And the fact that we are at this point is really sad. You know, I've thought for a long time that Donald Trump isn't necessarily the creator of all of these problems. I know a lot of people want to put some blame on him. I think Donald Trump is a symptom of where we are. You know, the fact that this man even was an option 4 years ago, I think shows exactly where we were in a country where someone so divisive could be elected. And I know there's a lot there. Donald Trump himself is a hot topic, and it seems, and I don't think this is true, but it seems that, you're either a Trump lover or a Trump hater. And I do know there's a lot of people who truly fall somewhere in between. But what is seen and spread is, the Trumpsters and the anti-Trump. And I think the fact that Trump was even an option shows just how desperate as a country we were for something completely different than what we had. We were so ready for somebody different than all of the politicians before him that we were so willing to accept this man that comes in and is telling us he's going to do everything different. Whether you believed him or not is a different story, but he came in saying things were going to be different, and then the people he was saying he was going to be different of, both ends of the aisle, spent the next 4 years villainizing him, further dividing our country. And to me, it is that divide that is the scariest part of this country, because the longer you divide us, the longer that we allow ourselves to be broken into sections of population, you versus me, us versus them, the longer we are not going to be able to unify as a country. And the only way we get past feeling so isolated and alone is to come together. But here's what we're not going to do. And I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. I don't care what religion you follow, what skin tone you are. I don't care about any of that. What we're not going to do is damage property, take people's lives. There is nothing that is going on in this country that allows you or gives you the right to do either of those things. I'm going to say it again. There is nothing that gives you the right to do either of those things. You are completely allowed to feel hurt and unheard and isolated and scared and afraid. All of those feelings right now are completely justified. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't feel scared, that I don't wonder if this is a world I want to bring a family into, because I sit back and I know this is not the world I grew up in. And I know it's a world that I wouldn't necessarily want to grow up in. And I don't want to pretend that I have all of the answers, because I'm not even sure I have an answer to any of this. But what I do know is my life personally as an individual functions better when I am unified with my family members, when I am unified with my work family, when we feel bonded, when we don't feel isolated, and when we feel like we matter. And on the big scope of things, big picture, that isn't any different. I have said for a long time that I wish things would stop being reported as descriptive, black male, white male, Republican, Democrat, that kind of description of somebody doing something, because I don't care any of that when you do something wrong. When you break a law, when you step on somebody else's rights, all I care is that you're an individual and you did something wrong, and you should be punished for that. I firmly believe the longer that we allow ourselves to be categorized into these little groups and played against each other, the longer we're going to feel isolated and alone. Because then at the end of the day, we are all Americans who, wake up every day and want the best for ourselves and our family, our friends, and our loved ones. We want to be able to go to work, provide for ourselves, feel safe, feel secure, and not afraid. All of that is the basics of the American dream, and I fully believe in the American dream. Do I feel like my generation has it better than the generation before? To be completely honest, I don't know anymore. But do I want my generation to create a world in which the next generation has it better? Absolutely. And we have a long way to go because we are going down the wrong path. What we're not going to do is take this country down a road where the bad apples in a segment of society get to ruin it for everybody. I don't care any of your descriptions. If you do something wrong, I want you to be held accountable and I want justice to be served. And I do know from my years of experience that sometimes what is justice is not what the masses want, and that is hard to swallow. It's easy to get caught up in the mob mentality of what they did is wrong, the outcome of that is wrong, and not sit back and judge the facts or wait long enough for the full amount of facts to come out. We are a society of instant gratification. You pull out your phone now and you don't have to wait that long to get your information, to get anything. And sometimes things take time, and the more you rush them and the more you push for them to be completed or the information to be out, the less reliable and concrete and true the information you may be getting is, because truth takes time. And sometimes the truth isn't what is obvious. So I urge you to remember that we are all Americans. At the very baseline of our souls, we are all Americans. And we are the people that, when the Constitution was written, we were the ones that they had in mind when they wrote the Constitution. It was our lives hundreds of years later that they were hoping that they would make better than their lives were by creating this entire nation. By giving us our rights and allowing us to live in a country where the individual citizen was supposed to be the one with the most amount of power. They were hoping to provide us with a better life. And there's a lot we've gotten away from because the individual citizen, the voter, isn't the one with the most amount of power anymore. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to the fact that we don't look at each other as, insert any of the descriptions, that you are an American and you have the right to the basic foundation and starting point as everybody else. That just because of your skin tone, your religion, your political beliefs, it doesn't mean that you have anything held against you, that you get any special treatment. None of it. We all have the same beginning. The ending isn't guaranteed, but we should all have the same beginning, and we should all allow each other the same basic level of respect by just being an American citizen, by being a fellow citizen. And we have gotten so far away from that. And I really hope the events of the last week are the eye-opening moments that we need to get the shake back to reality, that if we as citizens, as the individual in this country, don't take back the power that is given to us in the Constitution, that if we don't do that, we will lose our country forever. Because it's easy. America isn't guaranteed, and our rights aren't guaranteed unless we hold them. Unless we hold them tight and fight for them. And when I say fight for them, I do not mean anything that those people who stormed the Capitol did. You don't like the way it's going in this country? Do something about it. Get out there. participate in the structure of the government of this country. Become a politician. Do something to make this country better. Put your actions where your mouth is. Because being a Monday morning quarterback does no good. And I'm looking at you, the big mass media. You do no good. You pit us all against each other. You report the news in the way that fits your agenda instead of just providing the news. You're not the news. You're a commentary channel now. And in my opinion, the mass media is one of the many things that are really wrong with this country right now. Go out there and investigate the topics that set your soul on fire. Don't listen to what Aunt Susie's posting on Facebook or what you are seeing when you turn on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. Just go out there and investigate and look further, because there is an agenda. They're not just posting this information out of the goodness of their heart. They are a commentary channel when it comes down to it. They're no different than the people who sit on YouTube and blast their opinion about the current beauty YouTube drama. I'm sorry. I honestly think that the commentary channels on YouTube may have more credibility than the mass media right now. They're not news. And I need to pull myself back a little bit because that is where I get a little riled up. I don't like when I feel like somebody portrays facts and evidence in a way, let me rephrase that. I do not like when somebody takes information and portrays it in a way that fits their agenda, what they are trying to say. Because in those situations, the innocent bystander is the one that is hurt. And so I don't know if there was even a whole lot of point to this podcast episode, but I want this to be my cry to my fellow Americans that I believe we can be better and I believe we can do better. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you can't tell me that the status of this country is how you want it. If you were to design your ideal America, I don't think anybody would design what we are in right now. Or at least I hope not. So from the bottom of my heart, I hope we all do better. I hope we make a conscious effort to try harder, to stop allowing those with an agenda to divide us and create division between us, that we come together, set aside our differences and realize that the big picture is we are fighting for America and our rights. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Simply Imperfect Podcast. If you've enjoyed and don't want to miss an episode, make sure to subscribe. If you'd like to help the podcast out, make sure to leave us a rating and review while you're at it. To keep up to date with all things Simply Imperfect and to join our mailing list, head on over to @simply.imperfect on Instagram. And until next time, folks, make sure to embrace this simple imperfection that we call life.